Rick Collins, and last night was horrific. A terrible injury in the NBA. Gordon Hayward goes down.
It was so bad.
I know, Jim.
I didn't want to
It's
see it.
sad.
Why? You see it all the time on the news. When something horrible happens, they have that 10-second delay.
Yeah.
I would have been pushing that button. I didn't want to see that traumatizing the kids. They traumatized me. I guess that makes me a big kid, but I did not want to see that. That was horrific. But I guess it is.
It was very NSFW.
Yeah, not safe for work.
But Hayward going down with that injury,
I think
everybody expected the Celtics to just fall apart after that, but it did end up actually being a pretty competitive game.
Tatum came in as a rookie and really did a good job, but we expected that coming out of Duke.
Yeah.
He is a pretty refined rookie. He feels like he's been in, even though he's a one-and-done player, he does feel like he's been there 2 or 3 years. He's very mature.
Yeah.
He doesn't do antics, and he really thinks things through as he's going.
But also Jaylen Brown was phenomenal yesterday.
Some crazy dunks.
Really surprising for him. I guess, he was a highly touted player coming out of college, but everybody expected Marcus Smart to be in that role of the shooting guard, and Jaylen Brown looks like he's taken that position by storm. 25 points last night against the Cavs and against the Cavs defense, which is not bad.
Especially when you have LeBron James, who's doing 29, 16, 9, and 2.
Yeah.
2 blocks. Those 2 blocks, one of them was on Tatum. He had a monster night. Dwayne Price yesterday on our little interview really predicted he was going to come out and try to have a triple-double. He was one
rebound away.
Yes, and it was really that close, and he was a monster, and I think he really proved that he still is the best overall player in the NBA. Yeah, Kevin Durant might score more points, but there's no way he's putting up stat lines.
Well,
like
the Cavs needed the win last night. They had to have that win, especially since he's playing against Kyrie. He wanted to prove, look, I don't care what the Celtics have done in the offseason. I'm still the best player on this planet, and my team is still going to win every night. They're not going to win every night. This is a good Cavaliers team.
Yes.
I like what they've done, picking up Derrick Rose, bringing in Dwayne Wade. Those are going to be assets moving forward. Derrick Rose looked phenomenal last night. They're going to need those players until Isaiah Thomas comes back at Christmas time.
This could be, many would say, a great Cavaliers team. And if they weren't staring across the conference line at San Francisco and those Warriors, they probably would be repeating champions over and over and over again, because they really can't be stopped in the East. And outside of the Warriors, I don't know if there's a team over there that has 2 stars that would equal up to a LeBron James. But until that happens, I think we look at Derrick Rose has been a pretty good substitution for Isaiah Thomas. He looked good. He looked healthy.
Yeah.
He was a bit explosive.
As long as those knees stay together,
brace those knees, brace them. But even with his little mini dreads, he looked really, really good out there. He showed some explosion. He showed a little bit of what he used to be in Chicago. But we really need to look at what's happening in San Francisco. It's not as big of a deal as if it was college football or the NFL where you lose your first game, but the Warriors came in and really didn't impress too much.
No, so playing against the Rockets, who are now the up-and-comers in the Western Conference and maybe expected to overcome the Spurs and be that
either
second
them or
spot.
the Thunder, one of those two.
Right, and I still think the Thunder have a lot of things to work through. That offense is going to be a lot messier, I think, than what Houston's got. You bring in CP3, he's going to get the ball to guys who can score. The Thunder have a bigger issue. They've got 3 guys who have to have the ball in their hands to score. I really don't know how the offense is going to work. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. I think Houston and Golden State are the best 2 teams in the Western Conference, and they got to play last night. And Houston won, but it was only because Durant released the ball a split second later than he should have. And maybe he couldn't have.
Well, you know what? If he had thought that play through, maybe he would have released it a little sooner. That happens. He gets the ball, he takes one dribble, avoiding a player, shoots the ball, was just a little too late. But on the other side, I think you're right. I think there's a chance the Rockets could take that next step, go into the conference finals, and go to the finals. But not if CP3 continues to get hurt. I mean, his first game in, we've had writers say he looked like he was dragging his leg the whole time.
Yeah, he was on a bad knee, and clearly he's healthy enough to play, but he's not healthy enough to finish out a game. That's confusing to me. I think they need to rest him, get him 100% healthy before they bring him back in, because they could afford to do that. You can have Harden manage the game, play just like he did last year. You're still going to win some games. Bring back CP3 when he's fully healthy, and now you have a dynamic offense.
But everybody was scratching their head when the LA Clippers let CP3 go. Is there something that they knew that we didn't? Was he maybe he had that lingering issue? Maybe he isn't the same player he used to be, because they didn't seem to put up a fight to keep him.
No, and one of the things that I think is going to happen with the Clippers is that team needs to rebuild. Do you rebuild around Griffin again? Does Griffin become trade bait during the season?
They brought in a good foreigner at point guard.
And Telesnovic. He can be a good point guard, but he's not a future piece. He's a guy that you aren't going to build around. He's going to be a piece you bring in to help you get to that next level.
Yeah, he's already
30. I'm not sure exactly what the Clippers are trying to do. They'll be entertaining. People will go to watch them, that's for sure.
We don't know what the effect is going to be with CP3 gone. I mean, we can predict it, but we don't know. Most likely it won't be Lob City anymore. But the real question is, what is that additional piece to Houston in CP3 going to do? I mean, is this a lingering injury that he's never going to be able to overcome? Is this something that he's just sort of like a Draymond Green, where he's just sort of sprained it a little bit and it takes a little bit of time to get over it? He can still play. And that's another thing. The injury bug has seemed to move from the NFL
yes.
and it's starting to infect all the other leagues.
Last night, multiple injuries,
that injury to Gordon was so horrific. That's what they're going to be talking about that all week.
Yeah, he dislocated his ankle
and broke his tibia.
Yeah, and broke his tibia. And it was one of those where it looked like his foot was just hanging off of his leg. I mean, really, NSFW. Don't go watch the video if you're at work or you're around little kids, for sure.
But here it is. No, I'm kidding. But a lot of people say it reminded them of Joe Theismann's break.
Yeah.
Where it was just gruesome. Now, moving forward, again, these two games don't really mean anything because it's 82 games.
It's an exciting way to start off the season, though.
Yes.
You can't argue with that.
And it wasn't how we expected it,
No.
but it was exciting. Now, it goes into now the Mavericks coming in, and the Mavericks take on the Hawks. The Hawks are, like I said with Dwayne, about 2 years away from being that explosive three-point shooting team. And along those lines, I don't know how exciting these games are becoming, because all they're doing is shooting threes now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the Mavericks are going to be a good three-point shooting team until Seth Curry comes back.
I mean, you got Dirk.
He's a huge percentage of that, and I don't know that Dirk is going to get up nearly as many shots as he has in the past. We'll see what happens with Dirk over the course of the season, because they're going to try to limit his minutes. I don't think he's going to play more than 27 minutes tonight. I would be very surprised. In fact, I'd be surprised if he gets over 24 minutes. But what they need to figure out is, can the bench rotate in and fill holes? Can Dwight Powell be a stretch four? Can he play a similar role that Dirk Nowitzki plays on the court? We haven't seen it for a full season. We saw it at the end of last year. Clearly, they were trying to change his role in the offense. In the preseason, we saw it again. Lots of three-point shooting, lots of pick and pops. And
they're trying to make it so he doesn't have to move as much. But
let's see if he can do that.
Here's the issue that I laid out with Dwayne yesterday in our little video that you can find on unifyfrisco.com. The issue is, for me, is I don't mind limiting his minutes. Last year, and I understood why they forced the ball to Harrison Barnes throughout the year, because they needed to test to see if he was as good as they thought he was.
The stud that they needed.
Yeah. But the problem is, if you're going to limit Dirk's minutes, he cannot have 3 shots a quarter.
Yeah.
He needs to get the ball more in his hands. And I do believe that, you know what, it's not the amount. If you're going to run him, if you're going to make him run, and there's only so many minutes left in his body, let him run and make points out of it. Don't just make him run around, stand around, not do anything past the ball, because he's probably the best shooter on our team still.
Right now,
far.
for sure, because
By
of Seth
far.
Curry's injury, that's for
But
sure.
even with Seth Curry, he's a way better shooter overall.
At least historically. I think Seth Curry is more of a pure shooter than Dirk is going forward.
Dirk still has that 7 foot. You can't overcome the 7
that
foot.
1 inch vertical that he now has.
Vertical.
Now, let's look at some questions going into this season for the Mavericks. Can they stay healthy? Because remember, Wes Matthews' injury at the beginning of last season really cost them at the
Yes.
beginning of the season. They lost a lot of games early on because they were confident they were going to have him. He was going to be a main piece of that puzzle, that starting lineup, and he wasn't available. It really hurt them. And when he came back, his scoring was not there. I'm concerned that he's not going to be the guy they thought he was going to be, that he's not going to be able to score the way he was in Portland. And
he's proven that already.
And he's not going to be that player. And after that injury, he hasn't been. I'd like to see him score coming out of the beginning of the season. But really, long term, Seth Curry's the guy who's going to come out there and play. Wes Matthews, is he trade bait? Is Nerlens Noel trade bait? Remember, Nerlens is at the end of a contract. If there's a team that needs a center going to the playoffs, he could be one of those guys that gets looked at.
I would be surprised if West isn't trade bait.
Nobody's going to want to pay that contract for Noel.
No one's going to want to pay
and
that.
Nobody is going to want to pay Matthews if he continues to start the season the way he finished last season.
I'm more nervous on, Dennis Smith Jr., as explosive as he is, his whole entire game is like Westbrook. He's 6'2". It's all about his athletic ability. And the question is, he's 2 years removed from an ACL tear. He's never played the amount of minutes he's about to play, and he's never even come close to playing the amount of games he's about to play. I am really interested to see how his body holds up throughout a full NBA season. Is he going to get injured? Is he going to start pulling? Is he going to get – all rookies hit that rookie wall, which is they're used to playing, 20, 30 games, and then boom, they hit that wall, and they start to suffer the rest of the season. Will he have his second wind? He didn't really come into the Mavs as in shape as he should have been, but that's a rookie thing as well.
Yeah.
The real question is, should they give him 30, 40 minutes off the bat, or should they try to ease him into it?
If they could, they would ease him into it. I think you'll see a lot of J.J. Barea and Devin Harris coming off the bench for him, but he's the centerpiece. They've been marketing him as the centerpiece of this team going forward. He's got to come out and play well tonight. They should destroy the Hawks. The Hawks are not a good team right now. They're in rebuild. They're in full rebuild mode. They're not a great team. The Mavericks should win this game handily tonight.
So coming up next, we
got Major League Baseball. We had two big games last night, and we have a NFL review of Monday night, and we got a big weekend of football coming up this weekend.
Next.
We're so excited to invite you to our Stacy Furniture Anniversary Sale.
Save today on Stacy's outstanding selection, up to 50% off select items throughout the store.
Now's the time to buy that new bedroom, living room, or dining room suit. You can't beat these prices anywhere.
Name brands like Bernhard, Hooker, Universal, and Sherrill, all on sale today.
It's Stacy's Anniversary Sale only happens once a year.
Shop Stacy's today or visit us online at stacyfurniture.com.
Remember, when you're shopping at Stacy's, you're shopping with family.
Yankees came back again after CC Sabathia came out and won Game 3 for them, which I said at the end of our last show, he needed to come out and be as good as he was in the last series. He needed to save the Yankees season again, and he did that. He came out, won Game 3. They were down 2-1. They came out, won Game 4, coming back late in the game. Again, home runs, Aaron Judge.
For the Shereen Williams, we haven't heard from her all day, probably because she's just heartbroken that they couldn't. All they needed was one more game to sweep to get into the World Series.
They needed two more games.
Sorry.
Yes, 4 games.
4 games. I'm so used to the other 2 series. They need 2 more games. They would have been one step closer, and there probably would have been maybe a 10% or less chance that the opposing team could. The Yankees could make that leap back. Now it's a little bit closer. It's probably a 40% chance that they pull it out. But
they have to win in Yankee Stadium in the 3rd game with the Yankees having momentum now after 2 wins.
And then they have to come back, and they will win in Houston most likely. And then if that happens, they play in Houston again, correct?
Yes.
So if they at least can get 1 game out of this, then they have 2 at home. But the Yankees right now are starting to rally. And I don't know if it's because they're back home, but
Yankee Stadium certainly for any pitcher is not an easy place to pitch. And look at who Houston put out there for these 2 games. Morton and McCullers they're good pitchers.
They're not their starters.
But they are not their top 2, top 3 starters. they've got to get back to their top 2 starters. They need to get Verlander. I mean, this would be a game where I think Verlander needs to pitch because they need this win.
Like
in
the
Yankee
conversation
Stadium.
we had before, Verlander needs to be going up to management, going, get the ball in my hands so we
Yes.
can get to the next level.
So
I
they
will
can
take
win that
breaks.
game, go back to Houston, and all they have to do is win 1 of 2 in Houston.
And they've
to
got
win the
another
series.
pitcher behind Verlander who's very capable.
Yeah.
Who can
Dallas Keuchel's he's been their #1 starter all season, but this is really, I think, a game that Verlander has to grab the ball and go out.
Yeah.
It's going to be Keuchel, but this should be where Verlander comes out and says, just give me the damn ball and let me pitch this game because we need this win, and I'm the guy who can win games like
Yeah,
this.
that's why they brought him in. That's why this team has been as good as they have because of their 2
down the
starting
stretch,
pitchers. The Yankees, on the other hand, I don't know if it's Yankee Stadium, but CC Sabathia has.
He loves pitching there.
Yeah, he has shocked me twice.
Yes.
Everybody thought this whole year, everybody talks CC is probably at the end of his
He's
career.
37 years old.
He doesn't have
He's older
anything
than
left.
me.
Yeah, but he doesn't have anything left. He's overweight. He's all this stuff. And not that he's ever been underweight or in
No.
shape, but as you get older, that becomes a hindrance more than a benefit. Now, I still think there's a chance that the Yankees can win another one.
Mm-hmm. Well,
especially
they're
if
at
Judge
home.
and them are hitting home runs.
Yes.
And that's the scary thing. If they can take that momentum back to Houston, I don't know if
And
the
then
Houston
all they have to
crowd's
do
gonna
is win 1 of 2 in Houston.
And then it's basically down to sudden death.
And one of those games is going to be against Morton probably, or McCullers, whoever they decide to go with in a Game 7. I'm not sure either of those guys are guys that Houston would want to go
But
to
the
in a Game
Yankees
7.
have already shown that they can win sudden death games.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
wild card game coming in, they had 1 game to win it. They did.
They were down 2-0 in the last series. They had their backs against the wall, and they won 3 straight.
Honestly, it feels a little bit like the Dallas Mavericks when they won the championship. No one thought. They were always down. They're always a dark horse. Now, the Yankees are never going to be the dark horse. The Yankees are always going to be expected to win, which probably puts a whole new set of pressure on them. Even if they're the underdog, they're expected to win because they're the Yankees.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game, the Dodgers. Dodgers look like they're going to sweep.
Man, 3-0. Yu Darvish. We got to say his name now because that was a huge win for him last night.
Actually, I would prefer Trader. Why don't we just call him the Trader, formerly known as you?
No, I hate to call him a traitor because he may be back after the season. We haven't found out yet if they're going to go after Darvish again because they've already talked about it. They talked about it before
Why would
he
they
left.
let him go and then bring him back?
Because of contract. So
Did you like it here?
They knew that they didn't want to sign that big contract extension during the season, and
It's not like it's going to get any easier now with
Well,
this season he's having.
this is the way it works with money. You got to learn how it works with
The
money.
the only way I'd bring you, and I know we're off on a tangent, but the only way I would bring you Darvish back to Dallas or to the Texas Rangers is if they could sign him and attract that new.
Well, that's part of the
Japanese
idea.
Babe
That's
Ruth.
part of the idea. We'll see what happens in the offseason with the Rangers, but the Cubs cannot get hits against this Dodgers starting pitching or their bullpen for that matter. And the bullpen, again,
And the Dodgers are hitting.
pretty lights out. The Dodgers are hitting. I think that was the biggest question during this season was, can the Dodgers hit consistently? Because in the past, they've made the playoffs based entirely on their pitching.
You can't get much more consistent than 3-0.
Yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
And Clayton Kershaw couldn't get wins together during some of those seasons. I mean, he was by far the best pitcher in baseball the last 2 or 3 seasons, and
But he had no
arguably
backup.
one of the best pitchers in baseball. But he couldn't get any runs scored for him.
No.
There was
And
no run
pitchers
production
cannot do
him.
it by themselves. And even though Puig came in a couple years ago and was just hitting home runs like he was giving out candy,
They didn't have anybody else.
they
If
had
you don't
no
have
one
any
else.
support, they
just
just pitch around him.
yeah. And so now they do have hitting,
Yes.
and now Puig is not the focal point
No,
anymore.
you
So
got
he can
Justin-
sneak in.
Justin Turner, the guy I forgot about, he was the guy who hit the home run to win
Walk-off.
Game 2 and the walk-off home run. And he's been awesome this year. I mean, really has turned out.
And I think it's great for the Dodgers that and I'm going to continue on Puig, that Puig is not the focal point on offense. Now he can almost sneak up. They're not thinking, oh, it's Puig at bat. They're thinking about other hitters.
Well, that's
And when
because
he comes up,
the middle of their lineup is stacked now. Bellinger coming in with Justin Turner, with some of the other bats. Puig doesn't have to be the only guy in that lineup that can hit. They've got power in other spots. They're hitting home runs in other spots. They're hitting for average. It's a much better team this year. That's why everybody had them going to the World Series. That's why they had that.
That's why you had them.
Yes,
going to
I had them going to the World Series.
And the only thing that's going to keep you from being a baseball guru is if the Astros cannot hold off the Yankees. They had it in the bag.
Man.
They had it in the bag.
Well, I mean, I thought McCullers would pitch better. I'm not sure I would have pitched him fourth, but that's where he is in their depth chart.
So are you going to hold up with your prediction?
I still have Astros and Dodgers. I think that's the way it goes. I think the Astros win this last game in Yankee Stadium tonight.
We better hope they do, or we'll have an unhappy Shireen in the office.
I think they go home to Houston. They win at least one of those games at home. Their starting pitchers will be back, so you got either probably Keuchel tonight, and then Verlander the next game. I think getting back to those number one, number two stars is really going to help them.
Now, coming up next is our speed round, and that is going to be entertaining since we haven't done it for a while.
No, it's been a while, and there are a lot of topics in sports right now. Remember, right now we've got NBA starting up. We have MLB playoffs. We have NFL right in midseason. We have college. Everything
There's not
is going
enough
on right
hours
now.
in the day.
I know. It's insane. We're spending every waking second staring at computer screens to see what's going to happen next.
And our biggest issue is coming up next.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Ezekiel Elliott. He has now gotten a stay on his suspension. Yes, we're in the speed round. I'm just jumping right in. Ezekiel Elliott will play this weekend against the 49ers and next weekend against the Washington Redskins, and then we'll see what happens from there.
I can't.
It's just crazy.
So here's the discussion I've had with Shireen, and some people might disagree with me. Some people won't. The case lawfully has been thrown out. There hasn't been enough evidence. They don't think that the woman who is accusing him is
not
a
a
credible
legal case anymore.
Yeah. So what it is now his brand. Unfortunately, and Shireen has made this case that he's really fighting because if he doesn't fight for this and he just takes it, he gets a scarlet letter, basically, right? The problem is he already has a scarlet letter. Nobody outside of maybe a huge shoe brand who has any kind of hope of having a female audience or female customers are really going to go and buy or bring in Zeke Elliott as their spokesman.
No,
they're not.
Certainly not
He's
Dannon.
Done. Yeah, Dannon.
Dannon is sticking with Dak.
Yeah, so we have got to come to an understanding.
This isn't about advertising.
No.
This is about game paychecks.
So what's more important?
Game
I
paychecks.
can honestly say right now that this season's over for the Cowboys. This is if he continue, even if he plays all season, the continual is he going to play? Is he going to play? It's going to wear the Cowboys out, and they're going to end up having a bad season. So let's say they do that because he's fighting right now.
Yeah.
He goes out and the whole season is over, and next year he's going to earn those suspension games next year.
Yeah.
So he's going to screw 2 years.
Right now it's a matter of time.
Yeah. So now he's going to ruin 2 years for the Cowboys. How unthoughtful that is. I mean,
he wants to earn his paychecks. He wants to get paid.
Okay, so it's him. He's a meme monster.
I want money now. I want
money now.
Yes, just like the commercial.
So that's the issue I have. The Cowboys need to start whispering into his ear in the next game they don't win, and the one after that they struggle. They need to go in his ear and go, listen, for the good of the Cowboys, we'll figure it out later. We'll give you next time we sign you. We'll put a little bit more in there to make up for these couple game checks you missed. But right now, you need to just take it. And I know Shireen won't like this, but they need to, because what's happening now is regardless if it's 6 games, 4 games, whatever, it's going to happen next season. And this season is pretty much lost.
Will CC Sabathia be the National League Championship Series MVP?
That was a fast transition.
If the Yankees win this series coming back from down 2-0.
I think he would. I think he deserves that because he saved him in the
division series.
Yeah, and he also in the wild card.
Yes.
I think this is probably the best postseason he's ever had, not because he wasn't on better teams and pitched better, because this whole entire postseason has fallen on his shoulders,
It's
whether he
hinged
liked
on
it or
him,
not.
yeah.
Whether he liked it or not, his games that he pitched, for some reason, fate goes, we're all going to be on your games. They're going to be the games that are pivotal.
The turnaround
Yes.
game, exactly. Okay, so LeBron versus Kyrie. Did you expect more, bad behavior between the two, bad feelings
hugged at
between
the
the
end.
two? I know. Is that what we want, though?
I think
as fans,
I
don't we
think-
want to see that they're angry at each other?
But I don't think LeBron does it that way. I think LeBron acts nice, all that stuff, and he makes his statement with the scoreboard and with the stat sheet. The fact that he almost went for a triple-double against them is probably all he needs to say. Because basically what he said to Kyrie was, you left for that?
Yeah.
This is what you left out on, and
Especially
you
after
knew
the
I
Gordon
was
Hayward
here.
injury.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
that
but no one
just
could
sucks
foresee
for
that.
Kyrie so bad. But I agree. I think in terms of LeBron, his brand, that's the way you want to behave. That's the way you want to handle it. But
He's the way Zeke should think. Is the way LeBron
as
thinks.
a fan, though, I kind of want to see him get into it a little bit. I mean, I want to see.
It's like a straight up uppercut.
Well, I mean, maybe not that, but as he's rounding him or something, he just kind of gives him a little elbow to the back of the head, you know?
You mean like
whoops.
like a Meta
Whoops.
World Peace where he just comes and
Yeah, just a oops.
I don't know. I think it would hurt. It would damage him more than it would
but
damage.
for the fans, I want to see that.
To be honest,
I want
had
to see
for
the
fans,
malice at the palace.
So for the fans, Gordon was enough. Gordon was enough.
Just turn away.
Yeah, I don't need the Celtics don't need any kind of physical aggression or altercation
after that
for like 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Adam Silver expects the one and done rule in the NBA to change.
To what?
Is that good for the NBA? Is it good for college basketball?
It's not good for college. The only way it's good for college is if they make it 3 years.
Right.
Which they're not going to do.
Yeah, maybe 2 years like the NFL does.
Yeah, which they're not going to do. So what is really happening is I think they're changing it because a lot of these guys like Lonzo Ball and LaMelo Ball, they're making such a hubbub about coming out of high school.
And not being able to make money at the college level.
Yes, that I think a lot of them are start saying, I'm going to go play overseas, like Kobe did.
Yeah, Kobe was kind of the
Make
originator
some money,
of that.
play at a professional level, play more games. The only thing keeping these players going to college is the prestige of March Madness. There is nothing overseas
there's nothing else.
that gets you the kind of promotion that March Madness does. Because, like you said, there are all these great players in Europe and Asia, and you only hear about them right
before draft time. Yeah.
And that does get them into the first round discussion, but it never gets them in to the top 10.
No.
Unless they're like a LeBron out there.
Right.
We're like, whoa, what is this kid doing?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, clearly the Rodgers injury is going to demolish the Green Bay Packers season. Sorry.
Well, but the coach is sticking with the backup. They've said, hey, why don't you bring in Kaepernick? He goes, I've invested 3 years into Hundley.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to. I have it just the way I want it.
Do they bring in somebody? I mean, sure, they probably have to.
Do not say Tony Romo. Do not. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers got hurt with this.
Tank. You'd rather them tank than bring in.
But you
Tony
know what?
Romo.
Oh no. You know what? Bring him in. Bring him in. Let it be done because he'll get injured in the first game and then he'll never come back. Just sign him. Sign him because then there will be no more of this Tony Romo talk.
Last but not least, NBA team sponsors on the jerseys. It's starting this year. It's going to get worse. My thought is, if this turns into NASCAR, this is a disaster for the NBA because people wear the NBA jerseys regularly. You see people in
don't wear
NBA
NASCAR
jerseys all the
jerseys.
time. There are no NASCAR jerseys going around. People wear NBA jerseys.
I mean, guess what? The sponsors would love people to wear NASCAR jerseys because their brands would be everywhere.
But if the brand is bigger on the jersey than the name of the team.
That's why D-League jerseys don't sell and all that stuff. It doesn't look good.
No.
It doesn't look good. And you know what? I don't mind like a little patch.
Yes.
What they need to do is they need to
But hey, You start somewhere, and it's just going to get crazier.
It's like cancer.
It's just going to spread the whole.
But you know
front,
what? The
the
way
whole
they
back.
need to do it is they sell the jerseys clean with the little Nike swoosh or whatever, and then what they do is they add patches, sort of like NASCAR does. And
so if you want your jersey to look like an NBA
you have to go buy
jersey,
patches.
You go buy the patches.
And then it's another form of revenue for them.
I like it. That's a good idea.
But along the jersey side, did you see how many torn jerseys have been the last couple days? LeBron James had his torn.
You see him in the NFL with the new Nike jerseys. You're seeing him in the NBA with the Nike jerseys.
Did they make breakaway jerseys and we didn't know about it?
Yeah, I know. Like the tearaway pants. Now they're tearaway jerseys.
Yeah,
It's the easiest way to get undressed in the locker room.
I
Tearaway
think we
jerseys.
need to. I think we need to get Farrah in here, break down these jerseys, and
fashion
and you know
go
what?
before
Nike needs to stop buying
quality
from
of
China.
product?
They need to make American-made.
American-made Nike jerseys. That'll be
A nightmare.
never. Nike would never do that.
It's too expensive.
But tomorrow we're going to go over more NBA because we're going to have a Mavericks review of tonight's game. We'll have some more high school football coming up
Matt
as the
Wixon
week
comes
goes
in,
on.
yes.
And we just got a bunch of stuff. I mean, like we talked about, it is that time of the year.
Everything must go, go, go. Bye-bye.